Tonight on USA Today.
The Bush-Dukakis final showdown. Here this evening on the UCLA campus, inside the all-decked-out and ready-to-go Pauley Pavilion. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting tonight from Los Angeles. Good evening. Jump ball here at Pauley Pavilion. Tonight's the night George Bush and Mike Dukakis have their second and last scheduled joint campaign appearance. The setting, the Pauley Pavilion, home arena for the UCLA basketball Bruins. This evening, the arena for a possibly crucial campaign night. Both candidates looked the place over earlier today. Mike Dukakis looking to whittle down George Bush's small but continuing lead in the polls. Bush looking to maintain the lead and deflect any heat over his choice of running mate Dan Quayle. Bush's handlers say he's ready come what may.
There have been a lot of rumors that something out of the ordinary might happen, and so we're prepared for what we think the possible eventualities are, but we're not necessarily expecting anything.
While Bush and Dukakis saved their words for the main event, their running mates talked up for them.
I want him to enjoy himself, be himself, hang loose, and he'll win that debate just like he won the first one.
It'll be very interesting to see if the governor of Massachusetts will tonight try to distance himself from his past extreme liberal positions.
Joining me now to talk about just how much is on the line here tonight for the candidates are two veteran campaign coverage correspondents. Bruce Morton, traveling with the Dukakis campaign, and Bob Schieffer, who's been traveling all this time with the Bush campaign. First, Bruce, what's at stake for Dukakis here tonight?
Well, the short answer, Dan, is lots. He is behind in all the polls, not by much, by 3, 4, 5, 6 points, but he's consistently behind. So he's got 3.5 weeks left, and tonight is probably his best single shot at breaking something loose, at doing something, saying something that somehow changes that equation, brings some of those 3 or 4 or 5% either into the undecideds or some of the undecideds over to him. He's got to change the equation somehow.
And Bob, for Vice President Bush?
Just the opposite, obviously. He is like in a ball game where he's ahead. These are the late innings. He's got to hold his lead, not do anything spectacular, different, protect himself from some surprise if he can. And Dan, if one thing is certain, if our CBS News estimates are correct, the election at this point is George Bush's to lose. Our estimate now shows 31 states with 275 electoral votes leaning to Bush. And all you need to win the election, of course, is 270. We now estimate that 8 states in the District of Columbia are leaning to Dukakis, which would give him 109 electoral votes if he wins them all. Beyond that, we consider 11 states with a total of 154 electoral votes toss-ups at this point. So if Bush can win all the states now leaning to him, he will win the election, even if Dukakis should win all the states leaning to him and all the states we now consider toss-ups. But if Dukakis could somehow pull that off and along with it wrest Texas or perhaps Ohio from Bush, we now show both of those states leaning to Bush, then Dukakis would win.
Well, now, Bruce, what do the Dukakis people make of this new polling mathematics that in effect says that unless something changes, it's Bush's to lose?
Well, they discount the electoral arithmetic. They say if they win 51% of the popular vote, their man will win the presidency. And indeed, you have to go back to the 19th century to find the last time when that wasn't true. Their hope is in the roughly 1/3 of the voters who all the polls show are undecided or say, I'm for one guy or the other, but I could switch.
Thanks, Bruce. Bob? Tonight's Bush-Dukakis showdown is mainly for play to the national television audience, of course, but both candidates are mindful of the stakes here in California, biggest of the Electoral College big ones election night. This is still a hard-fought battle zone for both candidates, and our latest CBS News polling in California indicates the state is still up for grabs. Our new CBS News survey shows that if the election were held in California right now, the Republican ticket probably would win with 50% of the vote to 45% for the Democrats. Ahead, but still close, and that's about the same way the numbers break nationally this week. California is a good place to look at what Michael Dukakis has to do. More voters here have an unfavorable opinion of him than a favorable one. Over the past 3 days, we surveyed 728 probable California voters to get a snapshot of the state with the largest electorate. It's the big November prize Michael Dukakis cannot win without. Just about half of the California voters we talked to said they think of Dukakis as a liberal. That hurts on a couple of issues. Crime. In a state marred by gang wars and drug wars, half of the voters think Dukakis would not be tough enough on crime. Defense. In a state where 12% of the electorate has someone in the household who works in the military or defense, 42% of voters say Dukakis would weaken U.S. defenses. On the environment, Dukakis is scoring some points. He holds a lead in this state where more than half the voters say that protecting the environment is more important than boosting development.
Bush's administration cut funds to clean up California's coast.
There's been a lot of criticism in California for those negative TV ads, now run by both sides. 3/4 of our sample say they've seen these ads, and it's interesting to note that nearly as many say they don't believe them as say they do, which may account for the volatility of a big chunk of the California electorate. More than 1 in 5 of each candidate's supporters told us they once supported the other guy. A footnote, guess who California baby boomers overwhelmingly say they'd vote for if the race were just between Lloyd Bentsen and Dan Quayle? Not their baby boom brother. They'd go for Lloyd Bentsen, and by a wider margin than any other age group. Now, as for the people beyond the California polling numbers, CBS News National Affairs correspondent Leslie Stahl has been out checking the concerns, moods, and feelings among a cross-section of California voters.
I think this has become a media election. Who can look like the most perfect person in front of the camera, come up with the most idealistic answer to all these questions? Ronald Reagan. Yeah, and we're looking for another Ronald Reagan.
It was a constant theme we heard from a group of California suburbanites when we sat with them around a table to talk about the election, that neither Bush nor Dukakis measures up to Ronald Reagan.
I have a lot of my friends who are Democrats who are going to vote for George Bush because they talk about Ronald Reagan and how they've had 8 years of prosperity. Well, I think they're going to be very disappointed with George Bush because George Bush is no Ronald Reagan.
I agree with Bob. But Mike Dukakis will need a street map to find his way around Washington.
They all live in Santa Clara County, in the town of Milpitas, 40 miles southeast of San Francisco, an area that's growing and changing rapidly. They all own their own homes, but none can afford to buy a new one. In the area's newest complex, prices start at nearly $300,000.
How many of you believe George Bush when he says he won't raise taxes?
I don't think I'd believe any politician that said that they're going to raise taxes.
Taxes have gone up every year, basically, even with the new tax reform where they said we were going to pay less, we're paid more.
Dukakis has been arguing that the middle class has suffered over the last 8 years and that he'll take steps to alleviate the pressures.
The middle class is getting squeezed, and I think that they're just about ready to say the heck with what's going on and voice a real strong vote of opposition to what's been happening.
I'm not so sure I really know what the middle class squeeze is. I don't go home at night saying I'm suffering from middle class squeeze. It's been a terrible day.
Most in the group oppose big government programs, which they identify with the Democratic Party. Trish Dixon says she's moved into a state of constant conservatism.
And in college, I was one of those, I don't want to say liberal, bleeding liberal hearts, but yes, I was. And I was a Kennedy advocate, strongly against Nixon. Then Carter came along. Interest rates went through the ceiling, impending war, hostages. So I switched. I didn't switch parties. I am still a Democrat, but I did vote for Reagan.
Crime is an issue on their minds. Bush's attacks on Dukakis seem to have paid off.
Dukakis has made some pretty radical statements about the death penalty, about furloughs, and if he can make those statements, I don't trust him. The death penalty is a deterrent.
At the end, we asked, who are you going to vote for?
Mike Dukakis.
Bush, definitely.
4 for Bush, 3 for Dukakis, 1 undecided. The group did express concerns about their children's futures, but on the whole, they seem to be content with their lives. These people are not looking for change. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, Milpitas, California.
And I'll be back in a moment with more of today's news.
splash, I was taking a bath. Long about a Saturday night. Gloved up, got a clog in my tub. So I jumped out and fixed it up right. Just poured in liquid Drano, soon the clog was all gone. If they call it liquid Drano, baby, no, it's real strong. Yipe sipes and it won't hurt your pipes. Metal pipes or plastic, liquid Drano's just fantastic. Now I'm splishing and a splashing.
Liquid Drano, the liquid strong enough to be called Drano.
You've just been caught knocking off the Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran. How do you handle the consequences?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran?
Who, me?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran? Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran?
I didn't do it. I did not do it. No, absolutely not.
With the crunchy sweet taste of Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran, an open box is an empty box.
Great news. I don't need surgery for my hemorrhoids. The doctor said they're not that serious. He said use Preparation H.
Preparation H helps shrink swelling of tissues as it often relieves pain and itching for hours.
Aren't you glad you didn't need surgery?
Preparation H.
Gas pain, bloating. Gas-X has the strongest, fastest relief ingredient. Painful gas is like beer bubbles. Add the leading antacid. Add Gas-X. Only Gas-X gets rid of the gas. The strongest, fastest reliever for gas pain and bloating. Gas-X.
In what may turn out to be campaign ammunition for the Democrats, the Commerce Department today reported that the United States trade deficit shot back into the double-digit billions for the month of August, as Americans imported more than ever before from foreigners. CBS News business correspondent Ray Brady has the numbers and what they may mean.
In foreign trade, it was an unequal trade. The U.S. sold a record-breaking $27.5 billion worth of goods to foreigners. But Americans bought nearly $40 billion in goods from abroad. Result, a trade gap of more than $12 billion, up sharply from a month earlier and far higher than experts had predicted.
I would look at today's number as a yellow light. The U.S. still has a serious trade problem, one that we're going to have to be vigilant about for many years into the future.
Spurred on by the cheaper dollar, many U.S. companies have succeeded in selling abroad, and the trade gap had been going down. While many experts believe that trend will resume, in today's figures, one thing is clear. Americans simply can't break off their love affair with foreign products.
The record number of imports indicates that we still have a very strong consumer demand here in the United States, or did at the time those numbers were accumulated.
Foreign oil's cheaper, so oil companies brought more of it in. Higher prices or not, Americans purchased even more foreign cars. And big business kept buying machines made overseas. If empty docks like these don't get busy again soon, analysts warn, Americans could be in for some bitter medicine. An even lower dollar that would help sell more U.S. products abroad, but also higher interest rates that would keep American consumers from buying all those foreign products. Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
Congress passed compromise legislation today providing more than $1 billion for AIDS, education, treatment, and research. Senator Jesse Helms of North Carolina had been blocking this measure because it guaranteed confidentiality to anyone who tested positive for the AIDS virus. But today, sponsors agreed to drop that provision. The compromise provides for, and I quote, anonymous testing. But patients have no legal recourse if their identities are revealed. A major overhaul of the U.S. welfare system became law today. President Reagan signed the legislation at a White House ceremony. It's designed to help people get off welfare rolls and onto payrolls. Among major provisions, welfare parents whose children are over 3 years of age will be required to participate in job training programs.
Heartburn flaring up?
It never seems to stop.
How long have you been taking antacids?
Seems like forever.
Have you told the doctor?
Won't he just tell me to take these?
Not necessarily. Nowadays, doctors can diagnose and treat your heartburn and indigestion.
Now that's worth a visit to the doctor.
If you've been suffering from persistent heartburn, indigestion, or stomach pain, this could be a serious problem. Make an appointment to see your doctor now. Brought to you by GlaxoPharmaceuticals.
How do you figure your financial future?
How do you get an advantage? Look for an edge. Look for a company that can sharpen your opportunities in mutual funds, pensions, IRAs, employee benefit plans, insurance, and much more. Look for the Principal Edge from the Principal Financial Group, one of America's largest, helping people with the fine points of their financial future. The Principal. Look for the edge.
Ice cream.
Yogurt.
Potatoes.
Cottage cheese.
Peanut butter.
Pasta.
Omelets.
Salad.
Cheeseburger.
That Grape Nuts Crunch goes great on top of almost anything.
Cheeseburger.
Post Grape Nut Cereal.
Pressure.
The one and only.
Right now, having fun in a Ford Ranger is a whole lot easier to do. Get up to $500 cash bonus on the best-selling compact truck in America, the 1988 Ford Ranger.
The U.S. Justice Department today announced a massive sweep of this country for Jamaican drug traffickers. Law officers began making scores of arrests last night, but officials denied that politics had anything to do with the timing. Rita Braver reports.
The raids went on through the night in New York, Houston, Dallas, Hartford, and Washington, D.C. Federal agents and local police arrested more than 200 alleged members of Jamaican gangs or posses, reputed to be some of the most violent gangsters in the country.
They are alleged to be involved in kidnapping, in robberies, assaults, domestic and international gun trafficking, money laundering, and fraud.
Posse members in 21 U.S. cities were arrested. The roundups are continuing, and when it's over, authorities hope to have some 400 people in custody. Law enforcement officials say the posses are responsible for 1,400 drug-related homicides in recent years and control 40% of the crack cocaine market in the country. Most of the posse members come from the violence-torn slums of Jamaica and have slipped illegally into the U.S. to take advantage of the booming drug trade. Officials said today's arrest showed a disturbing new phenomenon. Posses working not only together, but also with members of two notorious Los Angeles street gangs.
Some members do move from one gang to another, and an even more disturbing thing is that in one of the arrests today, we found individuals from the Crips and the Bloods.
The investigation has been going on for more than a year. When reporters asked Attorney General Thornburg whether the raids were sprung today in order to give Vice President Bush something to crow about on the drug issue at tonight's presidential debate, the Attorney General snapped, "It's a law enforcement effort. It's not a political effort." Rita Braver, CBS News at the Justice Department.
Striking workers and students fought with police in the capital of Peru today as thousands joined a call by a communist-led union for a one-day general strike. Police arrested more than 300 people in Lima. The union was protesting a government austerity program that has doubled prices in the last month. But many workers ignored the strike call. Most stores and banks in Lima, Peru were open.
When my arthritis pain acts up, even little things are a big effort. But I don't take aspirin anymore. I take Advil. Advil is the brand many doctors recommend for hours of relief from minor arthritis pain. You know, just one Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin. And Advil doesn't upset my stomach the way aspirin sometimes can. So now, I don't even have to think about arthritis. Advil, tablets and caplets, advanced medicine for pain.
Do what you want with the girl, I want the car.
We have an insight.
My father's Moore, Roger Moore. He's not the only one who'd love to get his hands on my new Oldsmobile Trofeo. It's precisely the kind of sophisticated technology he's always relied on. A visual information center, FE3 suspension. It's everything he's dreamed a car could be.
This is not your father's Oldsmobile.
Sorry your friends couldn't make it.
This is the new generation of Olds.
I need home cooking.
Well, try Swanson Homestyle Recipe number 6. A spicy beef lasagna with a blend of cottage, mozzarella, and ricotta cheeses you won't find anywhere else, unless your mother's Italian.
Sounds good. She's not.
Well, try Swanson Homestyle Recipe number 6. A spicy beef lasagna with a blend of cottage, mozzarella, and ricotta cheeses you won't find anywhere else, unless your mother's Italian. Sounds good.
Looking for whole wheat total?
Shredded wheat.
You'll need 12 boxes to equal the vitamin and mineral nutrition in just one box of Total. No other cereal has more.
I think I'll have Total, sweetheart. Total.
If it's whole wheat Total, it's Total Nutrition.
The Roman Catholic Church said today it has concluded that the Shroud of Turin is not the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. Multiple scientific tests indicated the cloth dates back only to the Middle Ages, more than 1,000 years after Jesus died. Still, the Church is not ready to declare it a worthless object. Mark Phillips has our report.
Depending on what you believe, the cathedral in Turin has housed a piece of old cloth that is either the most sacred object in Christendom or one of history's great frauds. The latest in atomic age science was asked to provide the answer to the age-old mystery of the Shroud of Turin, and it did. The shroud, which has been venerated in the Catholic Church as the burial cloth of Christ, today was admitted by the Church to date not from the time of the crucifixion, but
from 1260 to 1390 AD.
The Church-sanctioned carbon dating test in Switzerland, England, and at the University of Arizona. Fragments of the shroud were burned and the radioactive carbon-14 was measured. It's the key to age, and all three labs agreed the cloth is only about 700 years old. The shroud has been kept here in Turin's cathedral, the object of reverence and mystery. Now some of that mystery has been removed. The carbon-14 process has proved what the shroud isn't, but not what it is. The remaining mystery concerns the image of a face, somebody's face, visible on the cloth. Tests have determined the face was not painted on, so how did it get there? More mysterious still, the image of the face appears to have been transferred from a three-dimensional form.
We have an image with characteristics which are not found in any other kind of image, and an image we cannot understand how it came into being.
And the shroud has blood stains consistent with crucifixion-type wounds. This continuing mystery is what has brought the believers to the shroud on the rare occasions it's been exhibited, and it is what keeps the Church from discrediting it completely.
But the position of the Church is to continue to consider this shroud, Holy Shroud, as an icon, as a representation which is mysterious.
The Church says it's open to further testing of the shroud if a suitable scientific proposal comes forward. For now, though, the faithful still see the image of Christ on the cloth. It is science, they say, which works in mysterious ways. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Turin.
Egyptian author Naguib Mahfouz was named winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature today, the first Arabic language writer to win the award. Mahfouz is 76. He has written dozens of novels and short stories set in ancient Egypt and in the slums of modern Cairo. The Swedish Academy said he has created a, quote, Arabian narrative art that applies to all mankind. U.S. officials said today they have reached agreement with the government of Sudan to start airlifting food to drought-stricken villages in the southern part of that country. The government and Marxist rebels have both been blocking food supplies as part of their civil war in the south. Thousands of Sudanese children starved to death over the last 3 months, while food supplies lay waiting in the capital of Khartoum.
See this phone? This is my store. And for years, my store was at the mercy of AT&T. But now, with MCI, I finally have an 800 service that charges me only for the actual distance of the calls we get, and can tell me where every one of those calls is coming from. And that makes this a better store.
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be. MCI. Let us show you.
It's happening now. The great crab harvest of '88 at Red Lobster. King crab from icy Alaskan waters. Steaming, succulent. Delicate snow crab to dip, drip, and savor. And get your first taste of our sweet, meaty Pacific Dungeness. We've created 6 crab and seafood combinations starting at $7.95. They're here now, and only at Red Lobster. Friday through Sunday, it's our weekend special. Steak and shrimp, just $9.95.
A little exercise never hurts, and neither does eating right. Especially when it's Sunsweet pitted prunes with yogurt. Rounder, plumper Sunsweet. So good tasting, and so good for you.
Denture wearers, I want to get fresh with you.
with my mint fresh Polident. It's got a minty mouthwash ingredient, so it freshens up dentures as it cleans tough stains. Try Super Strength Polident Green, the mouth freshening clean. Ah.
The presidential choice is only one choice facing voters election day. Besides the people on the ballot, there are the issues, the propositions, initiatives, and other measures of public sentiment. Here in California this year, dozens of them. Keeping in mind that California trends often become the shape of things to come nationally, Jerry Bowen looks this evening at Proposition Gridlock at the ballot box, California style.
Ask California voters and they'll tell you the agony of rush hour is an absolute picnic compared to what they're facing this election. If it were a Hollywood movie, they'd call it the day of the never-ending ballot. But this is a production of the state's famous initiative system, the one that cut property taxes, igniting a nationwide revolt. Now the system has made California a state of confusion.
It's hard to know, what you're for, what you're against.
But I think the voters ought to rebel and just forget about all of them and not vote on any of them, or else vote no on all of them or something or other.
Even the most intelligent, the most conscientious of voters are going to have a very, very hard time sorting through the ballot and making intelligent choices.
There are 29 state measures alone that promise to build prisons, help the homeless, raise tobacco taxes, or cut car insurance rates. With county, local, and elective offices thrown in, some ballots require more than 70 choices. In San Francisco, it's estimated 25 minutes in the voting booth won't be unusual, though express voting will be available for those with their minds made up. But the main problem remains. For too many voters, the initiative system has become mind-boggling. The process, say critics, is out of control.
Well, the initiative process was set up to get around the special interest control of the state legislature. And now it appears that the initiative process is becoming the tool in some way of the special interests.
How much money could a street gang make from smuggling cigarettes?
The tobacco industry has spent $10 million so far to defeat a 25-cent a pack cigarette tax hike, part of the media barrage, democracy, and 30-second sound cuts confronting Californians.
Maybe them insurance promoters should have my job. Because in my line of work, I deal with this kind of stuff every day.
Clearly something is out of control, and we think that
the insurance industry is likely to spend $45 million in the battle over auto insurance rate reductions. Voters have 5 confusing proposals to consider, 3 of them from the industry itself.
I know some of the issues, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to go vote.
Obviously, the system's run amok to some extent. The problem is that there's no solution.
No easy or acceptable solution, that is, for a system that was once a model for the rest of the nation. A model of grassroots democracy in action. Now, a model of democracy in the slow lane. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting tonight from Los Angeles. Later, 48 Hours will explore the deadly collision between AIDS and drugs. That's 48 Hours in AIDS Alley, tonight at 8, 7 Central Time. And we'll be back here in UCLA's Pauley Pavilion live for the Bush-Dukakis joint appearance at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 Central, 6 o'clock here on the West Coast. So see you again soon.
Where drugs and AIDS collide, bringing thousands of unsuspecting new victims to a dead end. 48 Hours tonight.
This is CBS.